Hi everybody, how you doing? So, today we're going to be talking about something simple-ish. Um, formatting your drive. We're going to be using our handy-dandy sacrificial ADATA solid state here. The reason it's sacrificial is because these drives suck. The first way that a lot of people know how to format a drive is to open what we have here, which is an Explorer window, not Internet Explorer, but Windows Explorer. And on the left-hand side, you'll find the drive, right-click it, and click Format. 3.65 megabytes. So what you can see here is that it's not seeing the actual drive itself. It's actually seeing what's called a volume. Or a partition. Basically, the drive itself is made up of a logical space, and a partition or a volume is just a fraction of that logical space. So in general, the C drive here is entirely one thing. I have it partitioned 100% for Windows. The S drive down here is a RAID set, but it's still a logical 8 terabyte drive. So I'm filling the entire drive with one thing, and that's just one partition. You can partition these drives out as much as you want. I just have no need for that, so most of my drives are going to be single partition drives. So because you can only see the active volume, I'm only seeing a volume that is the size 3.65 megabytes. Very, very tiny. And that's just because that's the EFI boot partition that I have on here for Ubuntu from another video. So essentially, if your entire drive is cut up into smaller volumes and you want to format the entire drive and not just a single volume, the way that you would typically do this is go into disk management. The easiest way to do this is just going to be to hit your start button and start typing. So disk space man, or you can type the entirety of disk management out and you're going to get this. Create and format hard disk partitions. So you're going to click it, and you're going to see this window pop up here. Now this is going to be a visual and textual representation of what drives you have connected to the computer. Whether they're internal drives, external drives, solid state, mechanical, does not matter. As long as your computer can see the drive, it's going to show up here. Along the left hand side here, you're going to see the actual size of the disk itself. So that you can see the total drive is 931.51 gigabytes. That is the formatted size of a 1 terabyte drive. When you format something, the formatting process takes away a portion of your space. So a 1 terabyte drive is going to show up between 930 and 950 gigs, something like that, depending on the drive. This 240.47 or 238.47, it's a 240 gig drive. That's our ADATA drive. So what if I do want to format this entire disk instead of just these unallocated portions? I can't go through and I can't delete this. I can delete this one because it is an NTFS. But I can't delete this. It's meant for that Linux distro. So my last option that's actually built into Windows is to open up the command prompt. If you hit start and type CMD, you can see a command prompt. Now there's a trick to this. What we're about to do is only going to work in what's called an elevated command prompt. And that's basically running this as an administrator. So you can right click on it and run as administrator, or since my favorite thing to do here, since I don't want to take my hands off the keyboard, CMD, and then Control, Shift, Enter. It's going to do exactly the same thing. It's going to run as admin. We're going to hit yes, and now we've got this window open. So, because this is open as an administrator, you've got a lot more power over everything that you can do in command prompt. And that includes completely reformatting and deleting and clearing your drives. So please be careful with this. If you have drives on your computer or plugged into your computer that you don't want to clear during this process, make sure that you know their capacity. That's going to be the easiest way to identify them in this process. So if you delete something you don't mean to delete, it's not my fault. You have been warned. So what we're going to type here in our window is disk part. That's all one word, disk part. It's going to open another window for you. There we go. Under disk part, you're going to type list disk. List disk. And this is going to show us the same 3 disks that we had earlier. So it's going to show us the same 3 disks that we have here. And this is why I'm telling you that it's very important to know the capacities of your drives. So I know that disk 0 here is going to be my C drive. Disk 1 is going to be my S drive where all my everything is stored. So I'm not going anywhere near that one. And this disk 2, this is 238. This is the drive that we're messing with today. This is the drive that I want to format. So what I'm going to do is type, if I could spell, select disk 2. So now that disk has been selected, this is the disk that the command prompt will reference from now until you change that. So from here you can say list volume if you'd like to, and that'll show you every single volume that's on every single disk. If you type list part or list partition, then it's going to show you only the partition that is active on the drive that we have selected. I'm going to type select disk 2 just one more time just because I'm paranoid. And the command we're going to use here is clean, and then hit enter. That's it. It's that easy. Just type clean, hit enter, and as you can see on the left-hand side here, this disk is 100% unallocated now. Now you can use disk part to recreate your partition and create new volumes and all that stuff. But once we've actually cleaned it, I find it a lot easier if we go back to our GUI and just use disk management, the actual user interface here. Once you clean that disk, it's just a completely empty disk that Windows doesn't know what it is. It recognizes that it's a thing, but it doesn't know what to do with it or how to communicate with it yet. So we have to first initialize. And this is where we're going to select either MBR or GPT. Typically, on newer systems, you're always going to select GPT. MBR was master boot record. It's used on older systems. So GPT if you're on a more modern system. Okay, so now you see that little star has disappeared from above here. So the disk has been initialized, but it's still unallocated. So all we have to do now, new simple volume, next. Select how much space you want to use. You can, like I said, cut this up into multiple different sizes if you'd like. I personally am just going to use the entire thing. Give it, no, D's fine. Gonna name it test again. We're sticking with NTFS, and you can leave the allocation unit size as default. Perform the quick format. It's going to do exactly the same thing. It's just not going to go sector by sector, and when it says quick, it means very quick, because standard format without that takes a very long time of going through every single sector on the disk. So next, finish, ta-da. And now if we open our Windows Explorer once again, go away. Then we're going to see test is D, and it's going to show up as an empty drive. So that is it, guys. Thanks for checking out this video on how to partition your disks using built-in tools in Windows. I really appreciate all the support I've been receiving for these videos, and I really appreciate you stopping by and seeing what I have to offer. If you like what you saw, hit that little subscribe button. I do these every once in a while, and hit that bell if you want to be notified when I do so. So anyway, thanks once again, and I'll see you in the next one.